welcome to the Blues Matters podcast.
Thank you.
Once again, it's lovely to have you on again.
Pleasure.
Have you recovered from last Sunday? The album launch?
Just about. It was quite a day. It was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Great day though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So we're here to talk primarily, or quite a bit, about the album from Burning Rope. So give me some background on the formation of Burning Rope.
Well, this is our second album.
Second album.
Yeah. We formed the band really after my son Matt passed, and we were in Catfish together. It was a long time before I decided I could even listen to the music, never mind think of playing it. But eventually, I didn't think, well, you're a musician, and musicians got to play, So I felt like I still had something to say, still wanted to play. And Adam, the bass player from Catfish, was up for it too. And we had Mitch, who was the depth drummer for Catfish. So there was quite a bond there already. And I recently produced an album for Alex Voisey, his last studio album. And when I thought, well, who should I ask to play guitar? He was my only thought, really. So that's how the band started. And we did our first gig just about 13 months ago, and seemed to be somehow on our second album already.
Well, yeah, you certainly don't let the grass grow, do you, Paul?
No, it hasn't done this time. The music was coming. We were having a rehearsal the other night because obviously we haven't played most of these new songs live yet. So we were having a rehearsal the other night, and Adam said, "I've got something to tell you." And I said, "What is it?" He said, "I've started writing." And I opened up my phone and said, "Me too." So there's already little nuggets appearing for another thing. At the moment, it's all about trying to remember how to play these new songs live and get them really.
So has the writing been done individually, or do you all get together and bounce off one another with ideas?
That's happened a lot more this time. On the first album, I took a load of my songs that I'd still been writing even though I was off the road. But this time I decided not to do that, but just to go little nuggets. Like I've got a verse here, an idea there. And in the rehearsal room, we sort of co-wrote them into much more songs that have been written by the group rather than just me and then arranged by the group. So it feels like progress to me, that does. I enjoy that way of working. It brings out the best of everybody, and everybody, I feel, has the same involvement in the group and the stake in the music, really.
Good, certainly, yeah. I was surprised. Well, I don't know why I'm surprised, but Just Leave was written by the words and music by Fiona.
Yeah, some years ago, actually. She kept on us with Catfish to have a listen to this song that she'd written. And we were so busy on the road, and then Matt got ill, and it really sort of just went on to into the background a bit. And then when we came to doing this album, she said, well, there's still that song I wrote. And so we sat down and did a little demo of it here, and I took it to the band, and they just loved it. And I think half an hour later, we had it arranged and ready to go. Great song called Just Leave. It's a very bluesy song, actually. This album has as much a prog influence as it has a blues influence, but that song's definitely blues.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's what I was going to say. Did you primarily want it to sound different than Catfish?
I think on this second album, Dissolution, we are now making music that Catfish would never have made. It feels different. It's using words and music that we would never have done. So for me, that's good to just put a stretch of clear blue water between Catfish and what we're doing now. I was finding it too uncomfortable, really. There was no Catfish without Matt. And although when we started out, we played a few Catfish songs just to have us enough, to play a full gig. And they were my songs from Catfish. And now the debate is, what do we leave out, because we have to get the new songs in. So I suspect most of the Catfish songs will now slide away, but not be forgotten, and just be brought out more occasionally now.
Yeah, especially say it's a live gig, for instance.
Yeah.
Another surprise, Running Up That Hill was a surprising song choice, I think.
That does carry on a little, well, I hesitate to call it a tradition. We're only 2 albums in, but some of the music on the last one with Tainted Love, we decided to find a really big, famous pop song and just turn it inside out and see what we could do with it. And on the debut album, it was Tainted Love, sort of intermingled with a Rage Against the Machine and a jazz chorus and whatever. So very different. And This was Adam's. Well, I think Adam and I both wanted to do Running Up the Hill, and he was the first one out of the traps. And he said, well, I've got this arrangement around this, see what you think. And then there was a little tussle between, I want to sing it. No, I want to sing it. And I said, "Look, Adam, you've done all the work on this. It's yours." And so, yeah, I'd like to think it's unrecognizable. Well, it's not unrecognizable because you will hear the lyric or something, but certainly when it starts, you'll wonder what it is.
Yeah, it's totally different than Kate Bush.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the best records ever made, in my opinion. So there's no point in copying it. If you're going to do it, you've really got to find something else to do with it.
Yeah, you've got to put your own stamp on it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, to make it
but
real.
And it's good fun to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked a lot of what Kate Bush has done in the past. I think she's written some great tunes.
Yeah.
Really good tunes.
Absolute one-off. Yeah, there's nobody like her.
Yeah, and she's very underrated as a songwriter, I think.
Well, not in this house, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
No, I meant in the larger scale.
Yeah.
The one that really did touch me, and I thought it's just magnificent, is Sad Like Sinatra.
Yeah.
What's the background of that? Can you explain that one to me?
Yeah, that's me turning up at a rehearsal, and I just had the opening verse. That's all I had. I said, "There's this verse. I think it's called Sad Like Sinatra, but I've no idea what it's about." Adam just said to me, "Yes, you do." No, I don't. He said, "But you do. It's about your parents," and it sort of is. And then I developed that, and I wrote all the lyric, but we wrote all the music together. It's the story of somebody growing up in what becomes the parents get divorced and separate, and it's how you grow up in that, and then how you find a way of living with your parents both separated. And then, of course, towards the end of writing this song, my mum actually died last summer, so that makes its appearance in the last verse as well. So it's about me, but also I think as a lot of these things, you try and make it a bit universal as well, so that other people will feel they have something they can say, yeah, that's about me as well a bit. I don't like to explain songs too much, but I think that one certainly does need a bit of explanation. And there's some blues in it, there's some prog in it. Again, it goes on for nearly 14 minutes as well.
Yeah. Well, that's typical of prog music, isn't it? 14, 15-minute songs are the norm in prog music.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of prog in Burning Rope, isn't there? Obviously, stemming from the title of the band, which was a Genesis track.
It was, and then there were three. Yeah. The Burning Rope song of Genesis is on the album, and then there were three. And when Matt died and the rest of us in Catfish, that was also, and then there were three. So it kind of fitted. And if you know the song Burning Rope, you'll get why I chose that name.
Yeah, it's a long time, I must admit, since I have heard that. It's a long time since I've heard that album, and then there were three. I've got it somewhere on vinyl. I've got it on vinyl, but yeah, it's a nice reminder, though. It's a track.
Thank you. Yeah.
But Genesis were great writers anyway, in their own right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you for a little bit. When did your career start in music or producing or being a musician? Where did it all come from?
Well, I used to accompany my dad. We used to do cabaret in nursing homes and social clubs and whatever, and my dad singing Sinatra, hence that music was in my house when I grew up, hence the title of that song. Also in Sad Like Sinatra, I'm going to do a quiz one day. I think there are 20 references to a Sinatra song title in the song, but I could be wrong, and somebody will point out how wrong I am at some stage. But it doesn't. We started out, I was playing the guitar. I was a guitarist by trade, really, and I went to music college playing the guitar. But I ended up in a band with one of the best guitarists I've ever played with, and there was no need for me to bother playing the guitar. So I migrated to keyboards, I think, in the mid-90s. But I think the first gig I did with my dad, I must have been about 10.
Wow.
So that's, 58 years ago. So although I play in a band with people a lot younger than me, I guess I have a longest experience of playing live and what have you. And it's always been so important to me playing live.
Absolutely, yeah. And did that lead into you becoming a producer and getting into the production side of things?
Yeah, when I was at music college, I found I was getting more bookings for people who wanted me to engineer sessions or produce sessions than I was as a player. So it all sort of flipped. And then I got a job at the BBC as recording engineer, a studio manager is what the BBC calls them. And so I specialized in live concerts and outside broadcasts and sessions, John Peel sessions and in concert. And ultimately became the producer of Radio 2 in concert, which I did for some 25 years, I think. So I've always been involved in live music in one way or another. That's been a thread right through everything.
Which do you prefer, being a musician or producing?
Well, that's a hard one because I'm bound to say I love doing both. I like doing the one I'm doing when I'm doing it, if you know what I mean. So there are many people who are better players than me, but I've never let that hold me back. You know what I mean? Always make sure you play with people better than you. That's always been my advice because it drags you up and makes you work hard.
I suppose so, yeah. But you can always say, I think any musician would say, there's always somebody better than me.
Yeah, all you can be is better than you were yesterday. That's what.
Yeah.
The only aim you can have, I think, really.
Yeah. So music and influences, apart from you said growing up you had Sinatra in the house all the time. And I had Sinatra in my house, and Nat King Cole was my dad's favourite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that, all the crooner stuff.
Yeah.
So who was your biggest influence music-wise? Was it Sinatra or?
I guess what you do when you're that age is you have Sinatra, you have all the Broadway musicals, all that sort of stuff going on, and you rebel against it. I mean, the last thing you must do, of course, is like the music your parents like, which doesn't seem to be true anymore. People like music from all over. So I suppose in the 70s, I got into the blues world initially through a band called Little Feat. I said, well, like that, where does that song come from? And I found it was Howlin' Wolf song they covered or something. So you go back and you try and find the source of where it's come from. And that's why I got interested in, the blues greats, I suppose. But I guess the other things I did in the 70s was to like prog, Gentle Giant and Genesis. And I was into the punk movement as well. And one of my favorite bands for that time was XTC. So there's this weird thing, really, of really complicated prog music, really simple blues and punk music, which I quite liken to blues in a way. It's a very honest, basic, raw emotion music. And you don't have to be the best player in the world to have the ability to put over that emotion. And so all that really combined, really.
Yeah, I think we had a similar outlook on the music. I certainly did. For me, it was listening to Led Zeppelin 2 for the very first time.
Yeah.
That was that. And then I had to go, like you said, you have to travel back and where's this come from? It gives you a map and X doesn't mark the spot. It just gives you all little roads to go down.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin 4 was the big one for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Zeppelin 2 before I heard anything else with Zeppelin. It was just in my mate's house. It was his sister's album, and we put it on, and that was that. Here I am. I think depending on my mood, I don't know which one is my favorite Zeppelin album. It depends what mood I'm in that day. It could be Led Zeppelin 4, it could be Physical Graffiti or.
But having said that, I love what Robert's doing now with Saving Grace.
Yes, so do I.
And he's so not interested in going down that old reunion nostalgia tour. He's just continually looking for something new and interesting to do. Saving Grace, fantastic.
I think if I ever met him again, I'd say, I think he's found where he always wanted to be now. I think this is his really big, happy place.
He seems really happy. The last time I saw him live, he was saying, I don't want to play big arenas. I don't want to play stadiums. I want to be able to see you. I want to be able to talk to you. And that's a great place to be. 1,000-seaters, quite happy. I mean, I play places smaller, but I still like to be able to talk to people during the show. That's I get told I get talked too much by the rest of the band, but there we go.
Snap, I've heard that. I've been told I've been told too much, waffle too much. Yeah, no, I've no interest in big venues anymore. 20, 30. I'd rather be in a place where it sits 200.
Well, I always think, how many £20 gigs could I go and see and support a band rather than one £200 one? But,
Well,
having said that, I went to the Palladium to see Paul Simon last week, and it was totally stunning.
Was he really good?
Absolutely
still?
incredible. Yeah. Obviously, he has a voice. Yeah, he has the voice of an 84-year-old, of course. But he was just he'd done what Robert done It did really, and that's rethink the music to cope with the situation he's now in. He's no longer a 30-year-old with a big, powerful voice and have a rock band behind him. That's not possible anymore. So it's
Yep.
all been rethought from the ground up, and some stunning players. Absolutely amazing.
I've always been a big Paul Simon fan. Simon and Garfunkel, obviously. Yeah, you're right about Robert. When he does a Zeppelin song, it's totally different
Yeah.
because he can't do the Immigrant Song like he was when he was 24.
Yeah.
It's just not. You've got to change it up. You've got to do it to suit his voice as he is now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still a great voice. It's like Elson's voice. It's still a great voice. It's just 2 octaves lower than it used to be, but it's still powerful, you know.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I think we've been very lucky to grow up in a generation of musicians and singers that we have, you know, but luckily there are newer bands coming through. Is there anybody that really appeals to you in a younger space, younger blues musicians?
Yeah, I think there's no shortage of really fine young players at the moment. It's the audience that is getting older, and the players seem to be getting younger. And we did a house concert here recently with Jassy Garwood, very fine player who's at the Brit School, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Adam and Mitch, our drummer, play for Thomas Heppel as well, who's also making waves for himself and doing things in his own way. And that's what I like. They do things a little differently.
Yeah, I thought Thomas was fantastic last week at Fleet. I've seen him before, but I thought he was fantastic last week.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. We are lucky. I mean, there's people like Kingfish that are coming through, and Shamikia Copeland and people like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Kingfish, I've seen him twice, 2-3 times now, and he's just unbelievable. Unbelievably good.
And I know they're a bit older, but for me, bands like Tedeschi Trucks Band, just incredible live as well. And a really good new album too, actually, from them.
Yeah, I've been sent it to, actually, and we're hoping to get Susan or Derek as an interview, hopefully in the not too distant future. But I was lucky, we saw them at the London Palladium. Yeah,
yes, I was there. Yeah.
It was a great gig, wasn't it? And
it seems impossible for anything to sound bad there. You can see from wherever you are, and the sound is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always said there's 3 venues for me. There's the Royal Albert Hall, I think, is just amazing. There's the London Palladium and Victoria Hall in Stoke-on-Trent.
Oh, I don't know Victoria Hall, but then the other 2. And with the Albert Hall, you have to be careful with you. It can sound really bad with a rock band that's too loud in there. It just can't cope with it. And saw Joe Bonamassa there a few weeks ago, and he'd got it spot on. It was just right.
Yeah, I think you went on the Wednesday, didn't you? We went on the Thursday.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he
really
did.
Had
He
the
did
sound
get it
nailed.
spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did get it spot on.
He was full of bear traps, the Albert Hall, for a rock band, I think, for sound. You have to be really careful.
Yeah.
Hire somebody who's done it before.
But it's walking into a venue like that you think all these bands who've actually appeared here.
Yeah.
Like the Palladium, really, in a way.
Yeah. It's the same way I feel about the Maida Vale Studios, where I spent most of my working life as well. All the music in the walls and bands.
Yeah, I was just going to come on to you and ask you your thoughts about Maida Vale Studios.
Yeah.
Or can't you really say it?
No, I can. And I'm no longer work for the BBC. I mean, the music, it just seeps out of the walls. Everybody has played in there from the 30s to now. There's the Beatles, the Stones, everybody. U2, Coldplay. I don't know who. I did B.B. King in there. Everybody's been there. And the BBC says this is a studio not fit for the digital age. Well, a quarter of the way through the 21st century, it seems to be managing pretty well still. But it closes in July. And of course, typical BBC fashion, the new place isn't ready. It's gone about 3 times over budget, what have you. It would have been cheaper to refurb Maida Vale than buy the new place. But anyway, that's what's happening. So the BBC's moving out into some temporary studios, I think for the best part of 2 years before the new studios, which should have been ready in, I think, 2022 or 3 are actually finished. And then I guess they'll be good studios. They will be good studios. But that legacy will be gone. But they'll have to work at building a new one.
Yeah, but somebody is it going to be like a college or something like that?
No, it's the one saving grace of the whole thing is that Maida Vale Studios has been bought by the film composer Hans Zimmer.
That's it,
and he plans to retain it and redevelop it as recording studios. So the big studios will stay because he needs them for film score. work. And I think a lot of the smaller rooms and smaller studios will be remodeled into, producer suites and dubbing suites for film and voiceover studios. So at least it's going to be thriving as a recording studio. And
Yeah,
there's my dog.
it would be a crying shame if it was never used again, wouldn't it?
Well, one of the things we were able to do in the late 2019 to 18, when this was all happening, was we were able to apply to get the front facade of Maida Vale listed, which meant that it could and we succeeded, but that meant it could no longer be knocked down for a block of flats because that front wall had to be retained. And that changed everything really in how it could be sold.
Fantastic. Well, when we were going home on the Friday after seeing Joe on the Thursday, we went over to Maida Vale because I'd never been. And I got him a birthday card, it was his birthday on that day, and I left it with the guy on the desk, and I said, when he comes in later, can he just pass this on to him?
All right.
And I had a photograph taken, where the blue plaque is underneath. That was probably my one and only time I'll ever walk in those famous doors.
Well, I did about 4 or 5 sessions with Joe in Maida Vale, so he was kind of returning there just in time before it shuts down for one last times.
Yeah. Well, we listened to it yesterday, literally. Julie got it on her phone, the session he did with Karis Matthews.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good. Sounded really good as well.
Yeah.
So, lastly, what's next for Burning Rope then? Is there another album in the offing soon, or are you concentrating on touring?
I think it's too soon to say it's soon, but we're heading into a season of festivals now, including going over to Romania for the Brazoi big outdoor festival there.
You'll love it. Yeah, I've been twice. It's amazing.
Great. Yeah, really looking forward to that. And then I guess, just spreading the word about the new band, really, because although I've been playing for so long, and it's, it is a new band, and you've got to let people know who you are and get to know you again. It feels harder this time than it did before with Catfish, but then I had to remind myself we toured that band for 10 years to get whatever level we had with that. So yeah, it's in this world, it's a long game you play, and that's what I enjoy about it. There's no shortcuts to getting out. It's just about getting out and playing live to people and trying to grow it organically. I'm not a whiz, as you might imagine, on TikTok and all those things. I guess if I were
I don't understand, and I'm not.
No,
involved.
I think if I were a 20-year-old pop singer, I'd be spending more time on TikTok than making music, and I wouldn't want to do that. So it's just trying to build it organically, get people to hear the new band. Hopefully they'll like what we do. It's quite a different sound as, say, Deedle Associate. If you remember me with Catfish, it does sound pretty different to that. And we're really enjoying making the music at the moment.
Fantastic. Well, you couldn't pick a better place to play than Bresoi over there. It's so well organised, and the crowd is just it's in a beautiful valley. It's just stunningly beautiful where it's held. They look after you so well. The crowd are always enthusiastic. It sounds great, and the weather's always. You usually have one day where it does absolutely biblically pour down with rain.
Yeah, I've spotted that in previous years.
Hopefully it won't be on your day, but when it does rain, it seriously rains. It's biblical. It's unbelievable. But it's a great place, and you'll love it, Paul. And I'm sure everybody will love you, because there's people from all over Europe travel to it.
So I gather. Yeah,
it says it. So it'll be really good for you and all the band. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for spending bank holiday Monday morning with me. And I hope the album launched tonight.
It's tomorrow night at the Tuesday Night Music Club. Yeah.
Well, sending you best wishes for that. Thank you once again for spending the Monday morning with me. Thank you, Paul.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.